I got a good one for you today. My guy Major 7th, who is on the New Old Heads with me. We've known each other since elementary school. He was my mentor growing up when I first started making beats 20 plus years, like 20 years ago. He finally revealed on our show on episode 483 about how Ryan Leslie's Diamond Girl is essentially his beat. Now, this is something that I've known for almost 20 years now, but he's never made this public. And we're going to talk about it today and watch the video of him actually talking about it and then go into it further. I'm Sean Lonegevity with Bringing Down the Band and the New Old Heads podcast, and this is my Unpacked series where I typically try to go deeper on New Old Heads segments. I've been kind of busy just with work, life, music, and honestly just classes this semester that I teach. But yeah, let's break it down, where I kind of asked Major 7th about this on the show this week. I almost want to ask you a very personal question about what you would do in a particular situation based upon some shit that's happened to you.
Go ahead.
Now, I have to preface this a little bit. We were talking about happenstance. We were talking about Hit Boy, and I'm going to do a separate video on that one. But we were talking about Hit Boy and him recently revealing that he was getting, he got sued for a royalty sample pack that he used on, I believe, Rihanna's Anti record. And Hit Boy's kind of got a history of that as well. So we kind of, this conversation started off as that kind of took a pivot. So I will be talking about that though in a separate video.
Do we want to do that?
I know what's what
do you want me to say names? I mean,
here's my thing with that, right?
Okay.
Here's my thing with that.
So I'm going to preface this again. He starts off by telling a different story of him essentially kind of getting screwed out of getting a beat placement and not getting paid for it. The industry's the industry, man.
I was so excited about everything that came with that, except for what I should have been focused on. That's youth. Oh man, I went to the store, I copped it, I got the poster, I got the t-shirts, I got the credit, I can vouch for it. Everything is real. Yes, this is what we want. Yes. And then you pull back and you're like, I really didn't get what I was supposed to get.
What about the other situation?
Yeah, we're talking about when
it's so interesting because Mike legitimately doesn't even know what we're talking about right now. But that was a separate situation where he got a pretty reasonable, plug placement on something, but he realized after the fact that he didn't get paid what he was supposed to. Not necessarily, or maybe he didn't handle his business in the way that he should have, and maybe expected the person that he did business with to be a little bit more solid than they were. But anyways.
a certain sound was stolen.
Oh, man.
Oh, okay. That's what we're talking about.
Look at his face. You can tell how real this is.
Oh, man.
Oh, okay. That's what we're talking about. Yeah.
That's the one that I was.
Yeah.
That's the one I figured.
Because you've never said anything publicly about that.
Oh, that's a classic. Yeah, we can talk about that. Yeah, that's a classic. So I was in Ice Standard Producers in Chicago. Rest in peace to my man Jay Hatch.
Yeah, rest in peace. If you're not familiar with Ice Standard Producers, it was I don't know if it still exists, but Jay Hatch and I forget the other dude's name. I think Mike mentions him, but I met Jay Hatch multiple times. I've been in Ice Standard twice, I think in like 2008 and then 2011 or 12 in Indianapolis. But I went, I think in 2008 or 9, I was like the only person not from Chicago in the Chicago version of it. But then I ended up seeing him again in Atlanta because they had a special thing at A3C there, but he's recently passed away in the last couple years. Super cool guy. But Ice Standard was like, you submit your music for it, and if your music was good based on the submissions, they would have you out and play like 2 or 3, I think 3 beats, and there would be like industry judges, So for the judge that I had Dart Parker, Rock Wilder, I believe, and the other guy was I think Analogic is his name. He's one of the guys that produced on Lupe's first like full length album. So like those were my judges, but like Mike, when he did it, he had different judges and things of that nature. But the time where he's going to be referencing, which is the Ice Standard producer that he won the very first one that they had in Chicago in 2007. It was like July of 2007-ish.
We got my man, he was one of our first winners, actually the first winner for Chicago ever. So we had him come back and showcase his stuff.
And that's 𝗕𝗓𝗪. And I believe this is a video from 2010, iStandard in Chicago.
We got a new project coming out, but we call it Breakout. Y'all clap hands for my dude, Major 7, y'all. Let's go, clap hands for Major.
And I won that event.
Mm-hmm.
So there were...
So he's referencing the 2007 event.
Executives there that we give them a CD. You know, I'll get back with you, man, if I hear anything.
Sure.
Right? And so time goes on and time goes on. And I hear this record. I said, man, that sounds like something I had on that CD.
Mm-hmm.
But I said, no, I'll brush it off. It's cool. And I kept listening to it. I said, nah, it's too unique. I could pull up the old file. It's too unique. I know that that's what that is. And Let
them know what song that is.
Oh, it's Diamond Girl, for sure. Yeah. And Ryan Leslie, yeah.
Yep.
They stole that from me. Facts.
It's impossible.
Now, at that time, so this record, Diamond Girl, came out in, I think, December of 2007, which would have been like 5 or 6 months since Mike handed that CD over to the person that he handed it over to, and then it somehow made its way there. Now, from one perspective, you can be like, that's speculation. You know, I wish I had the session. I know Mike's looking for the session. I don't know if he still has it. I'm pretty sure he probably has the beat somewhere. But as somebody that was around and then like Major 7 used to, when I lived in Anderson, Indiana, Mike, we grew up in the same town. He went to school at Ball State in Muncie, but he would come home. And when he would come home, he would play beats, and, you know, I would listen to the stuff that he would send me and back and forth, right? And then eventually he moved to Chicago, I think in 2006-ish, and him and shouts to Pete's sake, and they started growing there and the stuff that they were building within the city there. And Mike started to kind of slowly make a name for himself by just being really good at what he was doing. And, you know, I would go to Chicago, he would come home, and he would always play me beats. And I heard this beat before. Like, I heard the Diamond Girl beat before, like, in prepping for battles. So, for example, like when he would be playing, I don't think I went to the iStandard battle, that one, but I did go to other iStandard battles that he was a part of, and other battles that, like when he got runner-up at Scribble Jam in Chicago. He honestly probably should have won that one. But he was on a run for a while there, and I heard the beat. And as a producer, if you're a producer out there and you make beats, as you're listening to that Diamond Girl beat, it's very distinctive. Mike's beat is exactly the same thing, and I believe it's in the same keys and the same keys being played. Now, Ryan Leslie is a super talented musician. It would be very easy for somebody such as him to listen to something and reinterpolate it. And that's essentially what happened. They didn't just jack the beat from him. They reinterpolated the beat. So they took the idea of it and then redid it, but they did not reach out to give him any type of credit for it, which is a shame.
But my thing was, I have zero power.
Yeah.
So I'm like the person I was just talking. I don't have the bread. I called one of my boys who was a lawyer. He was still in law school. He said, Mike.
Then he wasn't a lawyer. Said he's a lawyer now.
He was going to be.
He was going to be a lawyer, successful now. But I don't think he was ready yet. He said, Mike, I ain't going to hold you, man. He said, it's going to cost you, bro. I said, man, I ain't got it. He said, yeah. He said, this might be one of them ones. It's just a lesson learned.
Or it'd be a situation where you find somebody, a lawyer that understands what could happen, and they be like, I'm going to take this pro bono because I know you
we
have
can
a
win.
case.
Exactly. I didn't have any connections like that, so I didn't know.
The thing about Diamond Girl is it's such a unique record.
Yeah.
That's not
what you normally.
It's not going to be coincidence.
There's no coincidence there at all. Like, it's very easy to pin the pieces together, especially when he said, like, well, let me keep going, like who he actually handed his CD to at iStandard.
And I played it for him. He knows. I've
heard it in battles.
Yes, and I was like, yeah, that's me.
I guess what I needed to reference there is I haven't heard it in battles. So that's kind of a lie in a way. But when you prep for a battle, back then, you would have a CD of beats. And on that CD of beats, you have the 3 records that you think that you're going to play or however many you're going to play, but you always have like 5 or 6 others that you need to pull out depending on if you're going against somebody or maybe at the last second be like, you know what, actually this one's that one. What I'm saying is that Diamond Girl record or the original beat I had heard in prep for those battles. So that's, I needed to make that
the
clear.
connection from who received the CD
Lenny S.
and how it got to the person.
Lenny S.
So he handed the CD to Lenny S.
Which,
giving it up
whose
today,
name was
boy.
actually shout out on the song, right?
He's not, I don't think, and they clarified that. But Lenny S is known for working with Rockefeller. He was one of the, part of their street team and things of that nature. So somehow the CD got from Major 7's hands, from Lenny S hearing and liking what he had, taking that CD ended up somehow in Ryan Leslie's hands or his team's hands, and the idea and that was made. What did not happen was the callback to say, hey, let me get this producer on board. It was just like, hey, let me take this idea. Again, this is like 2007.
If I'm not mistaken, I can barely listen to that record.
Don't he say
man.
LES
No,
on there?
he says RLS.
Yeah, it's RLS,
Yeah,
'cause
that's right.
yeah.
Ryan Leslie. Okay.
Yeah, I get mad when I hear it, so I never listen to that record. Shout out to Terry too. Terry was like, I never forget this, y'all. He said we was at Coach's. I think he wasn't spinning, but he was like, man. I told him the story. He was like, man, I don't even want to play that record no
I've
more,
never,
man.
ever since
I've
you
never
told me
heard you
that,
play that
I've
record.
never played that record.
I gotta give him his props. He was like, man, I can't even play that
Never
record no
played it
more, bro.
again.
But nah, man, that goes to show you that you have to be careful, man. It's sharks out here, bro. So if you want to hear something, you want to watch something or experience something that's your heart drops to your shoes, hear your idea on the record, on the radio while you driving in the car. It will burn your soul.
You know what's crazy though? You might, cause don't music have different laws? Like if you catch on to it years later,
So the
can't
thing
you
is,
still come back and
you
get your?
can't technically. So if Mike still has a session, which I doubt he has,
I bet you I can find it.
Might be able to
Old
get
hard
paid
drive, I
right
bet
now.
you I can find it.
like, but at the same time too, like, even if he does have the session, like, I know he was using Acid Music back then. He doesn't use that. He's Ableton now. So maybe he does have the session with all the sounds and it sounds exactly how it's supposed to. I know he's got a rendered out beat, but the thing is because it was just a beat that lived on a CD, it'd be hard to prove in court. If there's video footage of him playing this beat in
Now that I don't have.
like in an iStandard or something like that, like if I happen to
Somebody
the
probably
recording,
got that video somewhere.
you know what I mean? Like, because
Yeah.
it's too
Coincidental.
Too unique.
it's like,
He know. Lone know.
yeah. And the coincidence thing is like 6 months later that single drops, like that's enough time to turn around, and the similarities in it, like that's not like chopping the same sample up. That's not like even a Marvin Gaye Pharrell situation. Like this is extremely unique in the, I remember when I remember specifically when I first heard that beat, because I remember that's how I used to gauge stuff, how good it was. Like, man, I wish I made that. And I was like, I would have never thought to, like repeat it like that. And I was like, man, this is crazy. Which it was crazy, obviously.
He knows.
You played it for me before.
I
though.
did.
Yeah.
I pulled up the session. Yep.
So
But I'm glad you asked. I've never told that story.
I didn't think you wanted to.
Yeah, you do kind of make it like it's the boogeyman. Like,
No, it's
as
cool.
far as like you'll talk to us about it,
Yeah.
Yeah. we
but I
grown.
feel like you don't talk to. It's almost one of those sore spots in your career
It
that
is.
you don't like to mention.
Almost 500 episodes later, we're giving it up.
because I mean, think about it. We're a hip hop podcast where we talk about production and hip hop and all these things and all this things. And Mike is a producer who's got credits and lots of great music out there and things of that nature. And it took almost 10 years for us to bring this up on the show. Like, because think about the butterfly effect here.
Yeah.
Imagine if Ryan Leslie's management or whomever, because you technically don't know what happened in that situation.
I have no idea.
right?
I have no idea.
Imagine, and that's a good point, because who knows, like talking about this in this particular type of way doesn't necessarily mean that like Mike doesn't know, we don't know how this happened. We don't know how this theft happened. How did Ryan Leslie get that? Was it another musician played it and was just like, oh, this is an idea? Was it just straight theft? Was it like, how is this presented and why didn't the person reach back? But either way, still, but that's just like giving way too many benefits of the doubt. And if they did reach out to Mike, in the same when we talked to Ill Brown, imagine if Hit Boy's people
Reached
or
out to-
Madlib's people
Yeah.
reached out and reached back. Then that's a potential butterfly effect of a career trajectory in that time. Mike was
Absolutely.
winning battles. Mike
Yeah.
was doing the things.
Bro,
it is like
He was trending upward. He had songs with Freddie Gibbs.
That's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
back
he did a whole mixtape with Fake Shore Drive in like 2010, I think. Yeah, he was doing a lot of things. He got runner up in Scribble Jam. He won I Standard. Then he went to like some beat showcase in Arizona, I think. He did a some sort of champions type beat battle in New York. I think the judges were like Premier and Pete Rock or something. You know, like he was doing a lot of stuff. He was working with like everybody that was there was a point where he was like outside of the biggest names of like a Kanye West and things of that nature, like super mainstream levels. Like Mike was one of the bigger underground-esque producers in Chicago for a very short period of time. He was killing shit.
then it's like that's the percentage conversation that you talk about. Or we're gonna throw you some change, man. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take the change plus whatever the little credit is, and we're gonna go from there.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Even though y'all whatever,
Yeah.
just give me a little something, we'll call it a day.
Yeah.
But to get completely burned was painful, bro.
Nah,
that was
for sure.
painful, man. That was painful. But you live and you learn. You know, it is what it is. So take care of your shit.
Yeah, I think I'm happy he finally talked about that. But I think that it's just like kind of it's a bigger piece too. You know, like me as an educator, having friends that have gone through stuff like this, theft. Two of my real good producer friends have gone through multiple situations like this. I've never been thieved and outright like this, and I've never not called somebody immediately on stuff that's happened to me. Nothing to this degree, but you know, but this is one of the reasons why, you know, I do what I do. And this is another reason, you know, like I had just wrapped up a semester where I have like 6 students and they're all working on projects, and we're talking about rights, and we're talking about ASCAP and publishing and how to enter these situations and how to collaborate with people, and what's expected of you as a producer and how you can protect yourself. You know, it's like, it just, you know, back in the day, you know, it was very much like put your beats on a CD, throw it out there, hope that people were, I said this in the episode, but maybe it's a different part, but I said, you know, sometimes that's how it was. You know, like I had beat CDs I used to give to people. All of us did, because it was just kind of the Wild West. It was like the MySpace era. It wasn't the social media era. It was in between, like straight out, you had to be in a bigger city and you had to grind it out, and you had to know the right people in between that and the internet starting to bubble. And, you know, you made CDs and you sent them to people, and you put your name and your email address on there, and you hope that people had integrity. You know, that was the thing. There was always the understanding that you could get ripped off. You know what I mean? But that was just a risk that you had to take so that you could potentially get in the rooms with the right people to turn it to the next level. And it just so happens that this is just, you know, record industry rule 4080 or whatever. You know what I mean? It's unfortunate, because when I do think back upon that time period and the crew that we were a part of, and all the musicians and everybody that was doing everything, and, you know, they're Diamond Girl, if Mike gets the credits for that on top of everything that he's doing, does put him on a different trajectory. It does put him in as like one of these sought after producers, and that changes everything, you know. And when I think about that, it pisses me off for him, you know, and everybody, you know, this is just one example of it. This is stuff that all of us have known about, you know, and it's unfortunate, and the shady business, you know. But to counteract that, things that you can do to protect yourself is, number one, have some sort. Well, number one, you can copyright your stuff, right? You can to some degree. So if Mike had, you know, or whomever, like if before you send beats out, you send them to the copyright office and you do that, nobody's really going to do that because it's the process, right? But there are other ways that you can protect yourself. The goal is you need to be able to prove that beyond a reasonable doubt, to some degree, that this is your idea. This is the thing that you made. And I know it's getting to the Wild West with AI and things of that nature, and AI is stealing too. But like, to some degree, like if he does have the session and he can prove that the session was from before the time that Diamond Girl came out. Maybe he has character witnesses that this particular person was in this building, that he handed it to this person, you know, like there's things together to where maybe there's some recourse for him in this if he wanted to investigate it and whomever. So like looking in the future, sure. If you're going to put your beats out there on YouTube, you have a timestamp of when that was uploaded. You can prove like, hey, this is mine. I came up with this idea. And if it's super similar and you can piece other pieces together, then you can protect yourself. You know, so if you have a combination of your session and when that hit the internet, so if anything happens after that, you can essentially prove without a reasonable doubt that it's too similar. You know what I mean? That's what I would do. You know, like I think Bandcamp is a little bit different, you know, things of that nature, because you can't really, I mean, maybe you could find timestamps, but you can always adjust files within Bandcamp. Like you can replace a file, you know what I mean? Like if you wanted to. So that's not necessarily it, but there's definitely timestamps on YouTube. YouTube's not going anywhere. Even if you have it unlisted, you know, like you could create a YouTube account. You can upload all of your beats, make them unlisted, have them just exist on there. And then you're technically kind of protecting yourself because you can upload whatever you want to upload. You know what I mean? So be vigilant in this. I haven't heard of, it's been a while since I've heard of a story like this, but you used to hear stories like this all the time. And it used to be par for the course. You know, like Mike wasn't doing anything that anybody else wasn't doing. He just happened to have a record that fell to the right hands, and everything did what it was supposed to, except for the person that received it they didn't have integrity. Somewhere along that line, the integrity was lost. And, you know, here we have the third or fourth biggest record from this artist is not even his, you know? So shady. It's shady. Take care of your business. Hopefully this helps somebody in the future. But yeah, check out episode 483. The uncut version is on our Patreon and our YouTube. Over at the New Old Heads, you can become a member for $5. So I suggest doing that. Support independent creatives. But yeah, this is my Unpacked series. Thanks for tapping in. I will be dropping another video that's kind of addressing the Hit Boy stuff as well. So be on the lookout for that. And I hope, and I think I will have the space to start doing Unpacked videos, at least one a week. So I'm going to keep doing that. If you guys are still interested in the turn off your radio stuff, let me know. I'll continue to drop that, but I wasn't really getting a really big response from that, so I stopped doing it. But I am going to go back to, you know, sharing new music in the posts, in the community posts. So feel free to engage with that and stuff that you like. And yeah, thanks for being here. See you next time.